In a coastal town called Harborfield, where the ocean stretched endlessly into the horizon and salty winds moved through the streets every evening, there lived a young boy named Daniel Carter. Harborfield was a hard-working town. Fishermen woke before sunrise. Shopkeepers opened their stores early. Students walked to school with sleepy eyes and heavy backpacks. Life there was simple, steady, and predictable. Daniel, however, was different from most people in the town. He was known as someone with big dreams. Daniel often stood on the rocky cliffs near the ocean and imagined his future. Sometimes he pictured himself becoming a famous architect who designed towering skyscrapers in giant cities. Other times he imagined building something extraordinary that people from around the world would come to see. But there was a problem that Daniel never wanted to admit. He loved imagining success far more than he loved working for it. He would start things with excitement, but abandon them just as quickly. One week he decided he would learn drawing so he could design buildings, but after a few sketches he stopped. Another week he promised himself he would wake up early and study mathematics, but the warm comfort of his bed always won that battle. Tomorrow I will start properly, he would tell himself. But tomorrow kept moving further and further away. His parents often told him that talent meant nothing without effort, but Daniel did not really understand those words yet. One evening, while walking near the harbor, Daniel noticed an old man sitting at the end of a long wooden pier. The man had a small toolbox beside him and was carefully repairing one of the wooden planks. Daniel had seen him many times before, but had never spoken to him. People in Harborfield called him Mr. Leonard, though few knew much about him. Curious, Daniel walked closer. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked. "Fixing the pier," the old man replied calmly. Daniel looked around. The pier stretched far into the ocean, supported by hundreds of wooden beams. "You are fixing all of this by yourself?" Daniel asked in surprise. "Not all at once," Mr. Leonard said with a small smile. "Just one plank at a time." Daniel sat down beside him, watching the slow, careful movements of the old man's hands. "How long have you been working on it?" Daniel asked. "Almost 2 years." Daniel's eyes widened. 2 years? That is way too long. Mr. Leonard chuckled softly. "Tell me something, Daniel. How long does it take to build something strong?" Daniel thought for a moment, but did not answer. The old man tapped the plank he had just repaired. "Anything strong in life is built slowly." Daniel did not fully understand, but the words stayed with him. Over the next few weeks, Daniel often returned to the pier. Each time he saw Mr. Leonard repairing a different section of wood. Some days he replaced nails. Other days he sanded rough edges or strengthened weak beams. The progress seemed tiny, yet the pier slowly became stronger. One evening, Daniel finally asked the question that had been on his mind. "Why do you not just repair the whole pier at once? It would be much faster." Mr. Leonard smiled again. "Because people who try to do everything at once often end up doing nothing well." Then he handed Daniel a small hammer. "Here, try fixing this nail." Daniel awkwardly tapped the nail into place. It was such a small task, but strangely he felt a quiet sense of accomplishment. That night, Daniel thought about the pier for a long time. He realized something uncomfortable about himself. He always waited for big bursts of motivation to change his life, but those bursts never lasted. The next morning, Daniel decided to try something different. Instead of changing everything at once, he would start with one small habit. Just 20 minutes of focused study every day. Nothing more. The first day felt easy. The second day felt normal. The third day he almost skipped it, but then he remembered the pier and forced himself to sit down for 20 minutes. Days turned into weeks. 20 minutes slowly became 40 minutes, then 1 hour. Encouraged by this progress, Daniel added another habit. Every morning he went for a short run along the coastline. At first he could barely run for 5 minutes without gasping for air. His legs ached and his chest burned, but he continued running every day. Slowly his stamina improved. Months passed. The small habits began transforming Daniel in ways he had never expected. His concentration improved. His confidence grew. His teachers noticed his steady improvement in school, but the biggest change happened inside him. For the first time in his life, Daniel realized that success was not about dramatic changes or sudden inspiration. It was about showing up every single day, even when you did not feel like it. One spring morning, the town announced something exciting. A national engineering competition would be held in the nearby city. Students from different schools would compete to design and build a small structural model capable of supporting heavy weight. The winners would receive scholarships and mentorship from professional engineers. Many students felt intimidated by the challenge. Some tried to cram weeks of preparation into a few days, but Daniel approached it differently. For months, he had been practicing drawing structures and studying engineering basics, little by little. When the competition day arrived, hundreds of students gathered in a large hall. Each team received limited materials and a few hours to build their structure. Daniel worked patiently. He did not rush. Instead, he remembered the lesson from the pier. Strong things are built slowly and carefully. While other teams rushed and made mistakes, Daniel focused on building a balanced, stable design. When the judges tested the models, something remarkable happened. Daniel's structure held more weight than almost any other. When the results were announced, Daniel had placed among the top winners. The moment he heard his name, he felt a wave of disbelief and happiness. That evening, he ran straight to the pier. Mr. Leonard was there working as usual. "I won!" Daniel shouted excitedly. The old man looked up with calm eyes. "I am not surprised," Daniel laughed. "How did you know?" Mr. Leonard pointed toward the long wooden pier stretching across the ocean. "Because you finally learned how great things are built." Daniel looked at the hundreds of wooden planks, each one small, each one simple, but together they formed something strong enough to stand against storms and waves. Years later, Daniel became a respected architect, known for designing strong and innovative structures. But whenever someone asked him the secret of his success, he never talked about talent or intelligence. Instead, he told them about a long wooden pier in a small coastal town, and an old man who taught him the most important lesson of all. Great success is never built in a single moment. It is built the same way a pier is built, one small piece at a time, every single day.